Ecosystem services. These are the benefits people obtain from ecosystems. These include provisioning, regulating, and cultural services that directly affect people and supporting services needed to maintain the other services. Ecosystem services refer to the many and varied benefits that humans gain from the natural environment and properly functioning ecosystems. These services are critical to our survival and well being. Provisioning services include food and fresh water, while regulating services such as climate regulation, pollination, and flood control maintain environmental stability. Cultural services inspire recreation and education, while supporting services like nutrient cycling and soil formation maintain the conditions for life on Earth. Ecosystems are foundational to all economic and social structures. The Millennium Ecosystem Assessment (MA) was started by the United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan in 2000 and began in 2001. Its goal was to study how changes in ecosystems affect human well-being and to provide scientific advice on how to protect and use these ecosystems in a sustainable way. Over 1,360 experts from around the world worked on this project. Their findings are published in 5 technical volumes and 6 reports. These documents give a detailed look at the current state of the world's ecosystems, the benefits they provide, like clean water, food, forest products, flood control, and other natural resources, and ways to restore, protect, or improve the sustainable use of ecosystems. The Millennium Ecosystem Assessment, published in 2005, divided ecosystem services into 4 categories: provisioning, regulating, cultural services, and supporting services. Provisioning services are the products we get from ecosystems. Food and fiber. This includes a wide variety of food from plants, animals, and microbes, as well as materials like wood, jute, hemp, and silk, which all come from nature. Fuel. Natural materials like wood and dung are used as sources of energy. Genetic resources. This refers to the genes and genetic information used in breeding plants and animals or in biotechnology. Biochemicals, natural medicines, and pharmaceuticals. Many medicines, biocides, chemicals that kill harmful organisms, food additives like alginates, and other useful biological substances come from ecosystems. Ornamental resources. Things like animal skins, shells, and flowers are used for decoration, with their value often influenced by culture. This shows how different ecosystem services are connected. Fresh water. Fresh water is another example of a resource that links provisioning services with regulating services, services that help maintain environmental balance. Regulating services are the benefits we get from the regulation of ecosystem processes. Air quality maintenance. Ecosystems can both release and absorb chemicals which affects the quality of the air we breathe. Climate regulation. Ecosystems influence the climate in 2 ways. Locally, changes in land, like deforestation, can affect temperature and rainfall. Globally, ecosystems help manage greenhouse gases by either absorbing or releasing them, which impacts global climate change. Water regulation. The way water flows, runoff, flooding, and underground water replenishment, aquifer recharge are affected by changes in land like turning wetlands into farms or cities. Erosion control. Plants and trees help hold soil in place, preventing landslides and soil loss. Water purification and waste treatment. Ecosystems can both introduce impurities into water and clean it by filtering out pollutants and breaking down organic waste. Regulation of human diseases. Changes in ecosystems can affect the spread of diseases like cholera and control populations of disease-carrying organisms like mosquitoes. Biological control. Ecosystem changes can influence the number of pests and diseases that affect crops and livestock. Pollination. Changes in ecosystems impact the number and effectiveness of pollinators like bees, which are important for growing crops. Storm protection. Coastal ecosystems like mangroves and coral reefs help reduce damage from storms and large waves, such as those caused by hurricanes. These are the non-material benefits people get from nature. These benefits include spiritual enrichment. Nature can provide peace and a deeper connection to spirituality. Cognitive development. Being in nature helps people learn and grow mentally. Reflection. Nature gives us a space to think and reflect on our lives. Recreation. People enjoy activities like hiking, camping, or just relaxing in natural spaces. Aesthetic experiences. The beauty of nature can bring joy and inspire creativity. Cultural diversity. The diversity of ecosystems is one factor influencing the diversity of cultures, spiritual and religious values. Many religions attach spiritual and religious values to ecosystems or their components. Knowledge systems, traditional and formal. Ecosystems influence the types of knowledge systems developed by different cultures. Educational values. Ecosystems and their components and processes provide the basis for both formal and informal education in many societies. Inspiration. Ecosystems provide a rich source of inspiration for art, folklore, national symbols, architecture, and advertising. Aesthetic values. Many people find beauty or aesthetic value in various aspects of ecosystems as reflected in the support for parks, scenic drives, and the selection of housing locations. Social relations. Ecosystems influence the types of social relations that are established in particular cultures. Fishing societies, for example, differ in many respects in their social relations from nomadic herding or agricultural societies. Sense of place. Many people value the sense of place that is associated with recognized features of their environment, including aspects of the ecosystem. Cultural heritage values. Many societies place high value on the maintenance of either historically important landscapes, cultural landscapes, or culturally significant species. Recreation and ecotourism. People often choose where to spend their leisure time based in a part on the characteristics of the natural or cultivated landscapes in a particular area. Supporting services are those that are necessary for the production of all other ecosystem services. These benefits from nature are different from others like provisioning, regulating, and cultural services because their effects on people are either slow or indirect. In contrast, the effects of provisioning, such as food or water, regulating, such as air quality control, and cultural services, like recreational use, are more direct and happen over shorter time frames. Some services, like erosion control, can be both supporting and regulating, depending on how quickly they impact people. For instance, people don't directly use soil formation services, but changes in soil formation affect us indirectly by impacting food production. Climate regulation is a regulating service because changes in ecosystems can affect the local or global climate over decades or centuries. However, the production of oxygen through photosynthesis is a supporting service because any changes in oxygen levels would happen over a much longer time, making its impact on us slower. Other examples of supporting services include primary production, how plants produce energy from sunlight, production of atmospheric oxygen, soil formation and retention, nutrient cycling, how nutrients move through nature, water cycling, the movement of water through the environment, provisioning of habitat, providing living spaces for organisms,